Well, hello and welcome to Let's Get Acquainted with Hillary Gooden and my special guest. And I am really glad to have had this month of International/National Women's History Month. All of the guests that I've had on have been really awesome and just celebrating women, past, current, and those that are coming behind us to make the future different, make the future better. And so, my special guest with me tonight is Lashondra Graves, and she's known as the Apartment Lady. And you'll find out a little bit later in the show. But before we get started, I'm going to give you time to share this broadcast, tag a friend, someone to come on in and help us close out this month celebrating women who have been special in your life, special in all of our lives, and just get in on the conversation as well. So, and when you come back in, let me know where you're coming in from. So I'm going to just do this quick um, commercial that'll give us all a little bit of time to invite a few more people in. Yes. I hope you've had a wonderful week so far. It's been uh it's been special here in Chicago. Hi, busy women leaders. I'm talking to you. Are you juggling your family, your business, your career, and your health? Afraid that if just one ball drops to the ground, everything could fall apart because everybody's looking at you. You're stressed and overwhelmed. You're looking for answers, for help that's real help, for solutions. I have Vibrant Life Solutions that can help you. I am Hillary Gooden, the Vibrant Life Coach, author, speaker, lymphologist, and pastor. I empower busy women leaders with strategies to reduce stress and anxiety while increasing energy, clarity of mind, better sleep, better health, and vitality. Oh yeah, and boost your immunity. If you are ready for that, you say, I need that in my life right now. Let's connect. You can reach me at www.hillarygooden.com. You can direct message me on Facebook or LinkedIn at Hillary Gooden. Or else if you would like to get on a free 20-minute strategy call, a clarity call, go to bit.ly/Hillary Gooden. That's bit.ly/Hillary Gooden. I absolutely believe you got the power to help your body, help you live a more vibrant life. Be and to be that. So can you hear me? Let me bring her on out. Yes, yes, this is gonna be interesting. Hi.
Oh my gosh, it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting because of my computer is acting strange tonight. Yes. So how are you? And welcome to Let's Get Acquainted. Oh, I got the
Thank you.
wrong thing up there.
What's
Go ahead.
what's one?
How are you today?
I'm good, and yourself?
I'm doing wonderful.
That's
I
what's
see
up.
I got the wrong background up there, and folks may be a little confused. So I'm going to take that down because
Okay.
I looked up and said the Bible Good Health Show. Oh,
Okay.
that's not what this is.
Okay.
That's not what this is at all. So let us know where you're coming in from. I'm in the Chicago area. How about you?
I'm in Chicago.
Wow. Yay. Wonderful. So as you come in, let us know where you're coming in from. We would like to know and give you a shout out. And so you're known as the apartment lady. What an interesting title to have. And I'm sure nobody else has that title but you. And so I'm just excited to be able to hear more in the second half of the show about what that title entails and how you're using what you do to help people help other people. That's what this show is all about, having to showcase other men and women who are doing great things in their neck of the woods, helping other people. And so I'm excited for that. Um, but the first half, we're talking about international/national Women's Histories Month. Have you been celebrating this month?
I have, as a matter of fact, I was a speaker at a United Nations parallel event. So that was my way of giving back.
Yes. And I missed it. I sure meant to be in on it. How did it go?
Oh, it was wonderful. But I'm grateful that you did the replay.
Yeah.
It was an interest. I mean, it was actually wonderful. It was 4 or 5 days filled with speakers, and I've learned so much from the other speakers. So it was awesome. It was an awesome event. The speakers were from everywhere, all over the world. So
Great. That's wonderful. On so I've had on one show that I had, I did have like more than just myself and one speaker. There were two of
okay,
us that were on, and so that was good to have some other speakers on. My speaker from South Africa, we missed the timing, so she wasn't able to
oh,
come in for that show. But it's been a good month. It's always good when we can celebrate each other, and even just sometimes you need to do this here, pat yourself on the back and say, man, what I'm doing is great. What I'm doing is helpful,
amen.
and helping women. And there were those that said this month is all about celebrating women who are making history around the globe. Uh, I always was starting out this month just talking about how this was in 1908 that women got together and said, you know what, we're not going to take it anymore. Things have got to change. And
Right,
that was 1908. It was a woman led labor movement in New York City that laid the framework for Women's History Month. And I still find this number amazing. There were around 15,000
mm,
women that marched for shorter work hours, better pay, voting rights, and end to child labor. Some of
yeah.
this stuff we're still fighting for, would you say?
Of course. I mean, considering the market that I deal with a lot of single parents, and so they're raising the kids by themselves. Of course, they need better hours, better pay. But as you said, we're still fighting for having the right amount of time off after you have a child and things like that. So yeah.
Yeah. I heard them talking recently. I mean, it was either yesterday or today about being able to have that, what you just mentioned, having time off after pregnant, after have given birth.
Hmm.
Was that just recent, like having 10 days off or something like that, making that, I guess, uniform across the board or something like that? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I didn't follow that per se. I just know by the clients and audience that I deal with what they complain about. I mean, not having that time off means they have to go right back to work because they have to pay bills. You know, I'm the apartment lady, so I deal with rentals, and
Yeah.
some of these things, some of the evictions come from them having a child. Like, really?
Yeah. That's something. When I was working, child care costs as much as rent.
Yes.
or sometimes more than. And I
Yes.
was surprised. I had no idea that the cost was so much until I had workers who were having to make decisions. You know, one
Yep.
one person quit the job in order to, because she said, I'm working just to pay the
Yep.
child care, and I could just take care of my own kids and run them back. Between
Yep.
child care and what do you call it, transportation back and forth. I was just flabbergasted, really. So yes, we're still fighting. We're still fighting for our rights, and we have people like you that are advocating, and finding out resources and things of that nature that's still so needed in order for women to be, uh how can I say, to be at a level that's not just subservient. Is that right? Is that the right frame for that?
Or just being equitable,
There we
about
go. I was
everything
trying to
at
find the
work.
word. Yeah, just being equitable and feel, having that self worth and being valued. That's another good word, being valued for
Yes.
what they bring, because
Yes.
men can't do this alone. They can't do this without us. None of it.
Most definitely. Right.
I love it. And so I was looking, the slogan, they had a slogan that was popular at that time. This was from an article in, a media article. Do you mind reading that slogan? Reading
Sure,
that?
it said, a bread of roses emerged with bread symbolizing economic security and roses representing a better living standard.
Yeah. And again, this was back in 1908. And it sounds like what you was just talking about just now.
Right.
Here in
Right.
2022, it's just amazing to me that we're still dealing with some of these things. And I don't know, from your standpoint, uh, economic security.
Well, my thing is this. Anytime a law, comes into play, if that law isn't constantly being fine-tuned, upgraded, for lack of a better word,
Yeah.
then it's gonna fall behind. Just like the slogan, bread and roses. And like you said, it's good for today. But if they haven't upgraded, or made the necessary amendment to some of these laws, and so the economy and the world is moving, but those laws, they're just standing still. So if you
Yeah.
have a car, and if you don't tune up that car, if you don't get the oil change, what
Hmm.
will happen to your engine, the car engine?
It's gonna break down. That's for sure.
That's what everything. Every
Hmm.
law is an engine. Once they sign a law into act, then that's a machine that's actually moving, and it's supposed to get fine tuned. I mean, in 1908, how many people were living in the United States in 1908, compared to
Compared.
today?
Yeah, that's really something. And like you just said, those laws should be upgraded, updated. And a lot of times they're just on the books, and they're not. And
Right.
and for some reason I didn't have knowledge of that. When I listened to you on the other show, I was like, oh my God, that's something to think about. And that's a fight in and of itself.
Yep.
Somebody has to be fighting for it.
Yes.
Okay, so something came to my mind while you was talking. But yeah, women around the world. I know I've talked to different women in South Africa that are part of different NGOs, that's what they call them, non-government organizations.
Hmm.
And I know that you probably dealing with NGOs right here. And I saw that you're connected to, um, in India, it's a women's organization or something of that nature that you're connected to. Um,
Well, I'm an elder at a church in Kakinada, India, and I've been an elder at that church for about 10 years. And now we're building a school there, with SDI Architect out of Boston. They
mhm.
actually founded their firm in Boston, but then they co-founded, well, no, the chairman of the school co-founded that firm in Hyderabad, India. And Hyderabad is right next door to Kakinada. So God answered a 10-year prayer. And now, we're building a school in Kakinada,
Um,
India.
that's wonderful. And that's wonderful. I have a connection to a couple of ministries in Pakistan, and
Nice.
a couple of young evangelists that reached out to me over social media. One
Nice.
gentleman and another young lady, and they're doing great things. And she has a women's ministry, and women need help everywhere, everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. And this is why we are using this month to celebrate those women that are in the trenches, that are at the forefront fighting, making, saying, hey, we're going to make a way here, just like those 15,000 did. And some of the other women that I've talked to from across different parts of Africa that are doing the same thing, making a way for girls, because they're our future.
And exactly.
Yeah. So what do you have to say, just on that global scale about women and the girls, this whole time about celebrating them?
Well, I chuckle because I think in 2015 I wrote a book. I published the book and I co-authored that book with um, Dr. Downey from Roosevelt University and Dr. Harad from Robert Morris University. And we used 10 higher education students to collaborate in that book. And so the purpose of that book was to sell it for fundraising purposes. But we did a book. The title of the book was Why I Joined the United Nations Student Association.
Mm,
And my chapter was on women's rights and women equality. So when you talk about that, I'm like, wow, this is kind of like full circle.
mm,
I like talking about women
hmm.
equality
Yeah,
and women's right, and
yeah,
then talking about it internationally. You know what, Hillary? I know that each country has its own battles and so forth,
yes.
but at the end of the day, we're still under one umbrella. I mean, okay, so
Hmm,
they
hmm.
may be battling for in America, you're battling for equal rights, and in some other country, they're just battling to get the job. you know
Yeah,
so
yeah,
we all affect each other when it comes to, so if we get rights in our country going, then we're supposed to reach out to another country and try to see how we can work within the means of their government to
yeah,
inspire those women
yeah,
uh,
exactly.
to do the same thing. It's all
Yeah,
about hope, inspiration you know
yeah. That's like the young lady that reached out to me from Pakistan, and she asked me if I would speak to her women's group that met in her
Mm,
home. I
nice.
said, okay, well, for the time that you want me to meet, that you all meet, okay, I have to be up at midnight to do this, but I'll do it because I'm usually up late anyway. I said, so you have an interpreter? And she said, no, but I'm taking English classes. I think I know enough to.
Oh, wow.
I said, she said, if you just speak slow, I should
Mm,
be able to do it. I said, okay, well, it's gonna be me and you. Let's just make it happen. And it went really well. And a couple of
wow.
ladies, she called me back a few days later and to tell me praise report about a couple of ladies. One lady had been healed of her
Wow.
problem she had in her body. Another lady got filled with the Holy Spirit with the
Wow.
evidence of speaking in tongues. So that was really excited. I was excited. I said, God, thank God for the Spirit of God. It's the same everywhere. You know,
Yes.
yes. And I was looking at on the show this morning on The View. In fact, at the end of it, they played a tribute to the women in um, Ukraine
Mm,
that are going through, and they're going through. I can't even imagine. I mean, I can see it and imagine it, but to put myself in that place is is really something. And it was something that they used the little girl that sang that song, their national song, and then they just were showing different pictures of the women. Some of them are fighting in the battle, and then those that are trying to deal with themselves and with their children and with the elders, the seniors. And it just makes you feel that sisterhood. It didn't
Amen.
matter that they're Ukrainian or that they're
Right.
Caucasian. It's a sisterhood that's universal.
Amen.
Yeah.
I mean, when God made us in His image, He didn't say, "Oh, I made Africans in my image. I made Ukrainians in my image." He
Right.
didn't. He
Right.
didn't specify. He said human. We
Yeah.
are a human being, all of us.
Right.
And so, what makes us different is a geographical location.
That's it.
I
That's
could have
it.
been born in Ukraine. Then I would have been
Right.
different.
That's right. Right. We wouldn't be on this call most likely.
Hey, look, I would have been different, but it's not fair. It's not fair. I was on a podcast. I did a show or I did a meeting uh, with a podcast, and I talked about the Fair Housing Act and the protected classes. And the host, he said, "So you mean the protective classes is about how you look, smell, feel?" That's what, and I'm like, wow,
Really?
that's what women are going through. I mean, we're all the same, and so it's all about how we look, feel, geographical location. Come on, God is
You
the
know,
God is the God of all creation, and He
all
didn't
creation.
specify that other humans from other geographical locations were created by somebody else. He said He
Right.
created man.
And guess what? We're all on this ball together.
Man,
I mean, it's
okay,
a great big ball, but we're on this
right.
thing together. And we have to find a way to get along. As you were talking too, it just reminded me of something else. Oh my goodness. Come on,
Mhm.
man.
So that look,
um,
that's all about inspiration, right?
yes. But I just love that I've met in the last few years, and you probably have too, since the pandemic, and gone virtual more than usual,
Yeah,
have just it met so many people that I wouldn't have otherwise met under
yeah,
regular conditions,
yeah,
and that are doing amazing things. And some I'm not able to go where they are, but just to try to be that support, for them, or with whatever they're doing, and it has really made me a better person, you know, because you realize that whatever you're going through, there are others that are going through their normal. Is your normal is not so bad compared to somebody else's normal, when you think this life is just so sad. That's why
amen.
like our young people need to be exposed to
Mhm.
other people, other nationalities, other people, so that we can see that we're more alike than we are different, really.
You
What
use
you got?
my magic word, exposed. That's what my campaign. I have a campaign that's surrounded around that word, exposed.
Okay.
It's all about being exposed. I want to say, um, I eat meat, you guys, but when I
I do
watch
too.
some of these vegetarian videos, right? One of the videos, it was so awesome because in certain countries they eat different meat than what we eat.
Yeah.
So one of the vegan videos, um, it showed a child. I mean, it showed animals: a cat, a cow, a pig, a chicken, and a dog,
Okay.
and the baby, and it showed a baby, and the baby wanted to pet all of them.
Yeah.
Wanted to pet all of them,
Yes.
and so the message that they were putting out there is we teach our children what are pets and what's food.
Right.
So in America, cats and dogs, it's not food.
Right. Not for us.
But we teach our children that
Yeah.
as they're growing up, because we have cats and dogs in the house, but then when the children see cows and chickens
They
in
think
the
food.
cartoon or whatever, they learn like we're eating those things, right? So
Hmm.
don't
Hmm.
feel sorry for those things.
Right.
That because it's the same thing. You have seven women from seven parts of the world. You have the Asian woman, the African, the India, the American, um, the Ukrainian, right?
Yeah.
And the Eastern. And then so how do you say the worth of these women if you line them up?
Right.
How would
Exactly.
you say, okay, so this woman is worth this, that woman should have these rights, that woman only deserves those rights? That I mean, how do you can't how do you do
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. And yet
That's
we do it
taught,
all the
that's
time.
learned. It's learned.
Exactly. It's learned, it's taught, and because when you watch, there's a little commercial or video out there with these two little boys, best friends, love each other immensely from like kindergarten. And they got dressed up for picture day. It was a little black boy and a little white boy. And
Mhm.
they said they were dressing alike and they were going to trick their teacher. Their teacher was not going to be able to tell them apart because they got their hair
Oh,
cut and they got the
oh,
same clothes on, not
oh,
paying attention to the color of their skin at
right.
all.
Oh my God. That's
And the
awesome.
parents were just standing there like, okay.
I mean, if you think so, right?
Right.
That's awesome.
Yes. And so, if we could just let them be in that area, life would be better everywhere. That's absolutely the truth. And so I'm glad we had a chance. You look at the 30 minutes has gone by already. Already. And so, I just wanted to, every month I choose a theme. And then each guest we talk about that theme. And so this is our final show for the month of March, celebrating women through International/National Women's History Month. And again, there are so many women that have gone before us,
Yes.
all the way from Eve that have gone before us. And there are so many that are doing great things in the world now, including you and myself,
Thank
right? And then there are so many young people, young girls that got great ideas about climate change. And because that was I wanted to mention that United Nations, because you mentioned United Nations, right?
you. Right. We were doing the parallel event on
Yeah.
climate change, right?
I was getting ready to say, yeah, the United Nations, they choose the theme for each, they announce the theme for each year. And
Mhm.
this year's theme is that it focuses on women in the context of climate change, gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow. And so we have so many young people and those that are trying to help younger people, especially girls, get into STEM, science, technology, engineering, and math, to be in those, uh, have the mind to want to go to take those kind of classes and
Right.
make differences that we need in this world. And there are some that are coming up with some great ideas that just say, man, you go, girl. Every time I see them, I'm just excited for them, because
Right.
for so long it was mostly men.
Right.
Hmm. And
Right.
so, did you have anything to say on that before we switch over?
No, no. I really,
Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I agree with you. That's what I have
yeah.
to say. And yeah, it was I think the gender, that's what we did the UN event on uh, gender equality and in the context of the women in the context of climate change. That's what that
Hmm.
was.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
one of the sustainable development goals, the SDG, I think it's number 13.
okay. Yeah. So there's some great things coming ahead, and women are not going to be left out, you know. And it starts with educating them in those realms early, so that they can be included in the
And
development going forward. And so, I'm going to put this up here. This special guest, Lashondra Graves. Um, I want to give you this time, give you the floor, so to speak, to just tell us whatever it is about you that you would like to share. And then let us know what you may be working on, if you have any special projects or something that you have going on at this time. All right, you ready?
Thank you so much.
All
Thank you so
right.
much. And I'm actually sending you a private message.
Okay.
Do you see it? Is it okay?
Oh, okay. You're gonna stop you. Okay. So then I
Probably
need to keep.
about 2 seconds,
Okay.
2 to 5 seconds.
Okay.
Thank you.
All righty. So while she's stopping her camera for a few seconds there, we're just going to hear from Miss Lashondra Graves, and she's somebody that I met recently across LinkedIn. And I was glad to be able to be connected to her. And then here we are now, and she has a show. She'll talk to us a little bit about that as well. All right, you ready?
All right. Thank you so much.
Right.
See, that's women should get 5 seconds to do like a hair, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
a wardrobe
I
malfunction.
know, right?
No, I'm just kidding, right? Thank you.
All right.
So, the apartment lady, you guys see my banner behind me. I am the apartment lady. I thank Hillary Gooden for bringing me on and even talking about the fact that having that name is unique, because it's so unique that I have the registered trademark for those 3 words, the apartment lady. Now, how did the apartment lady start out? God had me start Apartment Housing Rentals Foundation 7 years ago, at the same time when I started teaching at a university. And he told me, he said, do him first. That's what he said. He said I had to do him first. And so I'm like, I really didn't know what that meant. He told me I had to do him first. And so what I did was, I thought publishing my first book that same year was me doing him. No, it wasn't. I created a Facebook group, because, like I said, I just became a social media professor at a 4-year university. So I created a Facebook group because I was the apartment manager in my building, and God said, "Okay, create." I'm like, "How am I going to manage this apartment building and teach and write a book at the same time?" And God said, "Create this Facebook group." And I'm like, yeah, okay. So I created the group. It was apartment and housing. I want to say 6 months later, I said, I still haven't rented out an apartment, this and another, just kind of doubling back on my thoughts 6 months, prior. And God said, go look at that group. I went to look at that group, and the group had 8,000 people. Now, mind you, this was 2014. And so Facebook groups, they were not that popular at that time. They had 8,000 people. I go through the group, those 8,000 people are looking for help. So, naturally, I put a whole bunch of real estate agents, leasing agents, landlords into this group so they can help the people. The trends and the algorithms that started rising or started popping out was everyone that said, I have a conviction. How can I get an apartment? Or I have an eviction, or I have bad credit, or I need an apartment and I need a private landlord. All of those people, they stayed in the group for about 5 or 6 months. But if someone said, I have 2,500 a month and I have 2,500 to pay for a 2 bedroom, or, just didn't talk or put their problems out in their posts, those people were gone. They were taken care of, or they said they had a Section A voucher, because everyone knows a Section A vouchers, the landlord will get paid, by HUD every single month, and those people were gone. And so I started helping one person at a time. Oh gosh, word of mouth. One person became 10, 10 became 100. Apartment Housing Rentals Foundation was formed. And that's why, but wait, that's not how the apartment lady was formed. Then the people started, it was all word of mouth. And the people started asking for the apartment lady. So they would call me, "Are you the apartment lady?" Or inbox me or Facebook me or Twitter me. Are you the apartment lady? I'm looking for the apartment lady. I'm like, I guess I'm the apartment lady. And
You are the apartment
the
lady.
apartment lady.
I love it. I love it. So you had a whole team of people that, like you said, you had 8,000 people in there, and you couldn't do it alone.
Well, you know, the most of the, I want to say about 3,000 of those people were, they didn't need the help, but 5,000 did. And
Yeah.
so, yes, yeah, after helping about, I'm what, 50 to 100 people, I'm like, okay, I need to hire somebody. But then other algorithms started coming up. So then I went to my church. My church has a banquet hall. I used my church as for office hours, and I hired
Mhm.
someone.
Yes.
However, other algorithms started coming up, and I'm like, okay, these women or and men, they don't just need another apartment because they have an eviction or a conviction or bad credit. These people are being evicted, um, and some people were being evicted for something as small as getting into an argument with your landlord. I'm like, okay. And I started going to court. So now I started this in Chicago. I started going to down to the Daily Center because that's where you do civil court.
Yeah.
And I started, and I couldn't represent them um, in court, like stand up there with them because
Yes.
I'm not an attorney, but I was there for support.
Hmm.
And I started reading up, I started reading all the laws, all the RTLOs, the residential tenant landlord ordinances, so that I could pretty much keep them in their apartment, work
Yeah.
out the mediation with their landlord, or if the landlord was like, you know what, I just want, my property back,
Yeah.
then find a way to keep them there so that I can put them in what is now known as one of our second chance rentals. And and
Okay.
and so
So
I'm
explain that again. What exactly that means? Second chance rental.
Well, the second chance rental, we help people with previous evictions, judgments, bankruptcies, convictions, bad credit, and first time renters. That's pretty much high risk renters.
Okay.
Even
Okay.
first time renters are
I
high
got it.
risk, because if you're
Yeah.
18 years old and you're ready to rent and they know you've never rent before, I mean, what are
Yeah.
the connotations connected to an 18-year
Yeah.
old? You
Yeah.
party, you don't know how
Yeah.
to pay your bills, things like that. So, a
So
high
did
risk
you
renter.
find yourself getting into helping them learn financial literacy?
Well, first, we had to teach them their rights as a tenant. So
Mm-hmm.
then I created the tenants' rights classes. So, like I said, at this time we were just in Chicago, so I created Illinois tenants' rights classes. And when people now came to me for an eviction prevention, the eviction prevention program or the second
Yeah.
chance rental program, they had to take these classes, these tenants' rights classes. And
Yeah.
and it really worked. And so when you talk about exposure, I was exposing them
Yes.
to how to be a tenant because I know when I got my first apartment and my first lease, nobody told me, Chandra, before you sign that lease, you better learn your tenant's rights. Nobody
Yeah.
said, you know,
Just
when it's
sign
time
it.
to go home, nobody tell you when it's time to get out of your parents' house or leave, you know,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
become dependent, become from independent to dependent.
Yeah.
No one sits you down and say, there
Right.
are laws to become tenant, and I don't want you to come back, end up back here or worse.
Yeah, of
So
course.
you need to learn your tenant's rights. I mean, learning those rights is just as
And
important
it
as
sounds
learning
really
financial.
it sounds really simple, and this is something that a lot of people just do not know. Never even think about until they're caught in a situation.
Until they're caught in a situation. And so most most people are always reactive. They're
Yeah.
always put in a reactive mode when it comes to renting because you think to yourself, well, um, I'm just going to sign the lease. Do you know a lease is a contract? Do you know that if you sign that lease, you have to abide by everything that's in that lease? You know that you should read it
Yeah.
before you sign it, because if the landlord says no one can spend the night and you signed that lease, don't you then you're gonna, then you say, you know what, I pay my rent on time, I can do what I want to do, my unit is clean, and
Hmm.
I'm gonna let my cousin spend the night anyway because they're from another state.
Yeah.
And then the landlord is giving you a 10-day notice for eviction. You're like,
Yeah.
why is this happening to me? And then you're gonna fall apart because you feel like your back is up against the wall. So you're like in this reactive mode.
Yes.
And
Yes.
however, shelter is a necessity. God
It
did not
is.
make us to weather the elements. We're not
Mm-hmm.
built for that.
That's right. Food
So
and shelter. Mm-hmm.
food and shelter, right?
Mm-hmm.
This
Wow.
is what I tackle
So
for the past 7 years.
this sounded like it happened and then it just escalated so fast. Boom,
Oh
boom, boom,
yeah.
boom, 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 like
Yeah.
dominoes. And I was just thinking, were you working a 9 to 5 when you started in this?
Yes, I was teaching at the university. So God is so good.
Yes,
He
he
know,
is.
I mean, he know it, like he said in Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans I have for you.
Yes, and they're
He,
good for your good.
oh my gosh, he set this all up. So then I became a professor at the same time that he told me to do this foundation. So
Yeah,
now being a professor, I had the flexibility. Don't get me wrong. At some quarters, I was teaching in 5 different cities in one week, but I still had the flexibility to try to put 3 classes on on one day. Now
yeah,
I did blow out a BMW motor driving to 3 different cities
yeah.
in
I
one
was going to
day
say this
without getting
wasn't. I was going to say this wasn't virtual. This was in person
This
in
was in
2014.
person.
Oh
But,
wow.
he said he won't give you more than you can bear. And um, I was able to do Apartment Housing Rentals Foundation. So I made sure that the days the church gave me office time, that I would not take classes to teach on those
Mhm.
days. I
Yeah.
mean, at one point, my office at the church, it looked like, the Social Security office.
I know. I
I
can
mean, they
imagine.
would line up the chairs,
Did
and
they?
people had to come up and get,
So
into the
did they have to have appointments to come so you would know how many, or were they just,
no.
first come first serve type of deal?
Yeah, yeah, because I didn't know
Wow.
anything about no nonprofit organization. I'm a social media marketer. I didn't know anything about that. I'm just like,
Wow.
I'm doing everything that God is telling me to do. So yeah,
Mhm.
he ordered my steps, and he still is, because
Yeah.
I'm still learning. Like, it's such a sharp learning curve when you're helping people
Yes.
at the same time that you're learning, and
Yes.
you're
I know about that too.
oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
So
And so go ahead.
I wanted to ask you, does some of the things about renting, some of the laws are universal across states, or are they just different?
No,
Are
okay.
you're dealing with people outside of Illinois now?
Yes, by me being a at the university, I was teaching social media marketing, development, um, business management, and career management. So I'm a social media person. I've been doing social media marketing, advertising for 15 years already.
Oh wow.
Today, 15 years. Today would be 15
Oh,
years,
okay.
and
Congratulations.
thank you. And I'm like, people, Facebook helped me start the Apartment Lady, start Apartment Housing Rentals Foundation, because I wasn't doing any Facebook ads, but they were, anytime someone asked for an apartment, they would put my foundation in front of them, by the way.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
since Facebook was doing that, we had people from other states. And so I'll ask
Mhm.
your questions respectively. You said, are the tenants' rights laws universal in the United States? They are to a certain degree, but then every state is like its own country.
Yeah, yeah.
and, and the people in every state are different, and they have
That's
different
true.
needs because it's based off resources and weather. They
Yeah.
have totally different needs. And so there is a blanket set of
Mhm.
RTLOs, residential tenant landlord ordinances, but each
Yeah.
state adopts their own
Yeah.
according to their needs.
Okay, that's what I
That
was
was,
wondering. Yeah.
yeah, that was the
Wow.
first question. And then the other one was, are we, do we just work in Illinois? So in 2016, I created a model, an online model where we were able to replicate everything we were doing in Illinois in other states without even going over there. And
Wow.
so since 2016, we have been national.
Wow. That is wonderful.
Thank you.
I need to give you a hand clap on that one for
Yeah.
real. Because it's so needed everywhere. Food and shelter is something that everybody needs.
Thank you.
And there's always going to be situations that are beyond what people can deal with on their own, and they need somebody to help me. Somebody help me, please. You
Oh
know.
my gosh. Right?
Yeah,
And
because you were mentioning, I'm sorry, you were mentioning earlier, even women being evicted because they got pregnant, and there are no children allowed, I guess, and then they have to go.
right.
It's just, wow.
And
So,
so
go ahead.
um if it's okay, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I always tell people I'm long-winded. I was lecturing for 4 hours at a time, getting paid. I didn't know how I was going to do it in the beginning,
Right.
but it became, yeah, it grew on me.
Yeah. I love it. I love it. And so you have continued then to, as far as those people that are help or are resource, the other you mentioned I can't you mentioned people that you had to call in initially to help you go through that initial burst of people. What were some of the people? Were different brokers and such? You've outsourced some of that even nationally to other states.
Yeah, I went through so many models of my board. We're still trying to get this perfect model because we're in every single state. I was
Yeah.
even looking up United Way's model. Um, and so the initial people that I hired were people that needed a job. I'm like,
Okay.
look, this is what I need. I created a Google form because now it's like this is a lot, and so
Yeah.
I would have the people put their information into a Google form so that when you do come, I can at least have some information on you so we can kind of like streamline the process because
Right.
the uh, the the church looked. I mean, my office space looked like the Social Security office. I'm serious. The
Yeah.
people were lined up like there.
Yeah.
So I hired the women, and I would just train them. Women that need a job. I'm
Yeah.
like, I need help, so I was just hiring
Yeah.
them that need a job. Obviously, the machine is better now, more
Yeah.
refined. But
Yeah.
I would hire them. I would show them what I need to do, print out all of the answers, and start creating these folders because you needed
Hmm.
those files so that you can know who you're talking to and how you're going to help
Yeah.
them, things like that. And I would just start training women. And so for years, I would hire my clients. I would hire my clients because I
They
said,
need some of them needed jobs.
and you've been through it before. I needed someone that can empathize. I didn't need
Yes.
sympathy. I
Yes.
need
That
somebody
was
feeling
smart.
sorry
Hmm.
for the people. I need someone that can empathize because you've been through it before.
Right.
Then most definitely you know how it feels.
Right.
So I was
That was a
hiring
good move.
my my employees, I mean, my clients. But now, obviously, the work is more advanced because we're working through different states. We do have people in other states, but for the most part, we can do everything that we need to do online in one central office. And so Illinois is the central office,
Okay.
and then we just work from there.
Yeah. And so, how do you have fun in your life? Because you're working, you busy,
God,
busy, busy.
God, as a matter of fact, once this broadcast is over, I have a Zoom um, Sunday school review, and it's an hour, and that's going to come on, and I'm going to get showered in the Word, and that's going to
Hmm.
be my, that's going to round my day up with fun.
Yeah. Wow. I love it. You know, sometimes you just don't know where, when you know there's a call on your life. Did you
Right.
know you had like a calling, and maybe didn't know exactly what it was?
Yes, I did. As a matter of fact, I was just looking. I have my mom. She's on hospice. I've had her since
Mm.
February 3rd. She has small cell lung cancer. She just walked
Oh.
past. Um, I was a foster child. I went to 8 different grammar schools, 3 different high schools throughout my life.
Hmm.
My mom would get us back. My mom's paranoid. She was diagnosed with paranoid schizophrenia. And so she would still fight for us. And so one year we'd be in a foster care. Next year we'd be at home, wherever her home was.
Yeah.
However, she was evicted. Every time she would get evicted, we would be back in the foster home.
Mm.
Okay, and then my brother. And so it was me. I had 2 brothers and myself. My mom had 3 kids. One of my brothers was killed in the streets.
Oh.
That was, we got out of the foster care for good. One of the
Mm.
brothers he was killed in the streets when he was 16. And
Mm.
the last night I saw him, he came upstairs, but I was in me and my daughter. I had my daughter at 14. I was in the bed with my daughter, the bed that he usually sleep in.
Yeah.
And it was about 1 o'clock. Wait, no, probably about 11 o'clock at night. And he looked and he turned the light on, and he saw that we were there. And I'm like, oh no, we can go in another room because we were all gathering at my grandmother's house. She was the one who had an apartment all the time.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and I said, no, we can go find another room to sleep in. He's like, no, I'm gonna go to my aunt's house, which lived in the next building. We were living in a project development, which is
Yeah.
subsidized housing.
Yeah.
Went down to go to my aunt's. We got a knock on the door, 3 o'clock in the morning. He was shot and killed
Mm.
that night because he didn't have anywhere to sleep.
Oh.
So yeah,
Yeah.
yes, I had a calling.
Yeah.
Yes, I had a calling to help people with shelter. God
Mm.
said that Apartment Housing Renters Foundation is an arc. I'm like,
Hmm.
okay, that's my
It
call.
definitely is an arc and a bridge, and it's something you know that story. You
Yep.
know, you have your story, like you said, with the women that you were using, going through it because you've been through it, you know, a lot to know that story.
Right.
Wow, see, let's get acquainted. That's what this show is all about. You
Man.
know, just hearing the stories and hearing what great things you're doing to help other people, you know, and how you kind of got there. So I'm so thankful, Lashondra, that you came on, and glad that you were part of this particular thing, because you are doing great things in this world and nationally, just growing from that one burst to just bursting all out from the east and west, north and south of this nation. And I love that. And
Thank you.
so I thank you so much for coming on today. And by way of just having like your final nugget that you would like to leave with people concerning, like, if you can mesh the theme and whatever else you like to say, what
Okay.
would be your final nugget that you like to share?
You guys, it's all about hope. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all about hope. I could take somebody and give them $10 million, somebody that's in eviction, and give them $10 million. But if they don't have hope, they don't have faith, then they'll run through that $10 million in less than a year without the resources. So it's about for hope, it's about faith, and it's about inspiring each other and exposure. I
Mm.
am the apartment lady, and I represent faith. I represent hope. I represent exposure. I represent helping people. And so, my mantra that I do on a daily basis is I am a reflection of the creator of all creations. I am the reflection of the God of all creation. I radiate hope. I radiate love. I radiate peace. I radiate wisdom. I am a reflection of the creator and the God of all creations. I radiate hope. I radiate love. I radiate peace. I radiate wisdom. I want you guys to take this. I mean, listen, stop the video, listen to it as many times as you need to, and come up with a mantra for yourself
Mhm.
because nothing is going to happen. Resources is not the way to get out of a situation. When the resources run dry, you can be right back in that same situation. It's impossible to please God without faith. Faith, hope, aspirations, and how you feel about yourself. These are
Mm.
the four things I want to leave you with.
I love it. Thank you so much. I'm going to ask you to wait for me backstage for just a quick second as I get
Okay.
my final nugget. And
Thank
again,
you.
thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you and all
Thank
that
you.
you do.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. Wow, that was Lashondra Graves, and I'm so glad that she took time to come out. And you know what? I want to say this right quick. Let me bring her back. We're back. Sorry. Listen, how can people contact you? What would be the best way for people to contact you? Hello?
Hello. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I
How
was I
can
was all I was in my prayer mode with God. Like
I'm
yes.
sorry, but I didn't give a contact. What would you want to give? A email or a website if someone needed to contact you?
You guys can go to www.theapartmentlady.org, www.theapartmentlady.org. If you're in the middle of an eviction or you're looking for an apartment in any state, you can click on become a member and we will get your application. You'll be able to choose what program you want to be in, or if you just want to contact me, do a donation or do some type of volunteering in your state, then you can click the contact form www.theapartmentlady.org. Thank you.
Okay, there we go. I almost forgot that.
That's okay. You
All
caught
right,
me at my prayer. I'm like,
I love it.
right, okay. Thank you.
Okay, so I want to just say thank you to everyone that watched this broadcast. All of you that have joined in for the month of March. Remember to celebrate the women in your life and celebrate those that are around you and those that are coming up behind you. Let's help each other be a helping hand and to keep your faith alive, your hope alive. And just know that God has a call for each one of us. He has something for you to do. You're here for a reason. The sooner you can connect with what that reason is, that purpose is, begin to walk in it and allow God to help you to be all you can be and all to do all you can do so that you can glorify him and help yourself as well as help those that you're called to. People are waiting on you. And so I just thank you again for being here. And I say you can connect with me every Thursday at 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern, here for Let's Get Acquainted. And I will see you on next week. Good night.